Hello everyone, welcome to Officers Adda 24/7. So this is a class of your most important questions we are going to discuss. So let's start today's class. And before to start, I would like to say if you're new on the Officers Adda 24/7, hit the subscribe button and download the Adda 24/7 application so that you can get everything at a one place. Okay. So before to moving further, I would like to say there is a very important thing that is our selection batch that is actually started from the 20th of May, and you can just enroll for this batch because like if you just thinking that you want to clear this examination with a very good score, I think you should enroll, and this is the last opportunity because you are going to get the fresh classroom for here. Okay, so whatever the sessions we are going to take, like that all are exam oriented, so just take the sessions there, and you will just going to get the ebooks, mock test, as well as a topic wise test series, as well as a live classes and recorded classes for this selection batch. And you only have to use the code that is Y422, because with this code you are going to get the big discount over this. Okay, so let's start today's session. So the first question that is actually taken from the bank reconciliation statement. Just try to understand how we can solve the questions in the examination of the bank reconciliation statement, right? Okay. So here it is given, that is debit balance or the overdraft balance as per the passbook. Okay. The very first thing that you always have to understand whenever we're talking about the cash book, what component you have to keep on the debit side and what component you have to keep on the credit side. Okay. So as you know that all cash receipts we record on the debit side and all cash payments we record on the credit side of the cash book. The same when we talk about the for the passbook, because it is opposite of the cash book. That means when we talk about the liabilities of the customer, then that we recorded on the debit side of the passbook, and all the account balance of the customer that is actually shown under the credit side of the passbook, because the cash receipts is going to record under the credit side of the passbook. Okay, so if it is written here that is debit balance as per the passbook or overdraft balance as per the passbook, so now you can understand this is a kind of the liability that customer is that customer have to pay. Okay, so whenever this kind of the questions like given the examination, you have to understand, like if the passbook balance is given, immediately you have to write here the cash book, and the second thing you just make the table like this for just writing the all the conditions. Okay, so when we talk about the passbook balance is given the 1,31,700, that means you will just write here that is 1,31,700 with a negative figure, right? Because it is a kind of the liability that customer have to pay. Okay, now when we talk about check deposited but not yet collected, that means actually a check deposited, that means you can understand customer has deposited the check of the 72,000 but it is not collected, that means it is reflecting as a zero. So now you can understand the cash book balance is a greater than or less than the passbook, you will say it is greater than. Okay, so you only have to add here that is 72,000. Now for the second condition, you will get check issued but not yet presented for the payment. That means customer or the firm actually issued the check of the 52,800, issued the check, that means that would come with a negative figure, but it is not presented over the counter, that means it will just come with a zero. Okay, in the bank statement, that means now you will say your cash book balance is actually just lesser than the passbook, then you will just write here that is minus 52,800. Okay, third condition that is given, third actually we covered. Okay, bank charges of the 1,500 charged by the bank, that means this 1,500 is actually charged by the bank. So now you can understand for the cash book this statement, because customer is not aware of that, that's why this would reflect as a zero. Okay, now you can understand the cash book balance is a greater than the passbook balance, so you will just add here with the positive figure with the 1,500. Okay, next condition, a customer directly deposited the 45,000 into bank, that means customer directly deposited like one of the debtor, you can understand like of the firm directly deposited the 45,000 rupees into the bank. So like because customer is, or the firm is not aware of that, that means this transaction would reflect as a zero in the cash book, and you can understand the cash book balance is a lesser than the passbook for this situation. So you will write the 40 minus 45,000 here. Okay, Now the next condition that is given, interest on the bank overdraft charged by the bank. Again, when we called the another condition that actually bank charged the 10,000 rupees as an interest, but customer is not aware of that. That means again this would be reflected as a zero in the cash book. Now you can understand the cash book balance is a greater than the passbook, and if it is greater than the passbook, that means you will use the positive figure with the 10,000. And now just tell me what would be the answer of this. Just try to solve that. Minus 1 lakh 31,700 plus 72,000 minus 52,800 plus 1,500 minus 45,000 plus 10,000. Okay, plus 10,000, right? So what you are getting, tell me what would be the answer here. The first, that is minus 1,31,700, second is a 72,000, third is a minus 52,800, another that is 1,500, then 45,000, and then your 10,000, right? So your answer that would be the 1,46,000. Okay, so there will be some correction, I think, if I'm not getting the mistake in the calculation. Okay, so your answer that would be the 1,46,000. That should be your answer. Okay, I think I'm not doing any mistake in the calculation. Then your answer will be the 1,46,000. Okay, right? I think everyone is understandable this question. Next question. The overdraft balance in the cash book of the firm that is given the 23,600. A debtor of the firm deposit directly in the bank an amount of the 3,200, which bank credits in the personal account of a partner. So what is the balance as per the passbook of the firm that you have to calculate? Okay, look, if when we talk about the balance, in the balance as per the cash book is given, so immediately you will write the passbook here. Okay, and the overdraft balance that is given the 23,600, just right here. Okay, now you can understand, now when you just make this table, that is cash book passbook, you can understand a debtor of the firm that deposit directly in the bank. So if the debtor of the firm directly deposit into the bank an amount of the 3,200, which bank credits in the personal account of a partner, not in the account of the firm. That means in the bank statement this transaction would reflect as a zero. Okay, because by mistake bank credits that amount into the personal account of the partner. So that's why this would reflect as a zero in the passbook, as well as because firm is also not aware of this transaction, because here the term using that the debtor directly deposit that amount into the bank. So that means customer is also not aware of that, or the firm is also not aware of that. That means this transaction also reflect as a zero into the cash book. And you can understand what is the balance as per the passbook of the firm. You will say the same balance will be shown in the passbook of the firm also. Okay, that would be your answer, 23,600. Right? I think this is understandable for everyone. Next question. If there is an error in a real account, it will affect what? When we talk about the real account, you can understand what we understand by the real account. When we talk about the real account, you can understand that all assets comes under the real account category, right? So when we talk about the all assets comes under the real account category, so what you understand by that? Just tell me what you understand by that. What would be the answer of this question? Just tell me what would be the answer of this question. Look, whenever we're talking about the category of the account, you will understand the real account category, and for the real account category, you understand all the assets comes under the real account category. Okay, so it will affect what? It will definitely will affect the balance sheet. Okay, so the correct answer of this, that is balance sheet. Now again important, now once again just understand here the important thing. Whenever we talk about the balance sheet, we actually talking about the assets and the liabilities. And whenever we talking about the profit and loss account, you actually talk about the what? you actually talk about the income and expenses. Okay, so when you talk about the profit and loss account, you actually talk about the income and expenses, and when we talk about the balance sheet, you will just understand as an asset and the liabilities, right? I think this is understandable for everyone. Next, Mr. A is the owner of the firm XYZ. He commenced business with a cash 80,000. So what would be the debit and credit while generalizing? Okay, whenever you finding, like, you have to make the journal entry. Okay, so what I am just talking about, I am talking about whenever you will just finding the term, that is you have to just make the journal entry. So how you can make the journal entry? Okay, the very first thing that you have to understand, like, which probably accounts can be included in the particular transaction. If I'm saying that Mr. A is the owner of the firm XYZ, so this is Mr. A, and this Mr. A is the owner of the firm that is named as a XYZ. Okay, so he commenced business with the cash 80,000 rupees. So if he commenced with the business 80,000 rupees, now you can understand, due to business entity concept, owner and the owners from both are the different entity. That means you can understand the same 80,000 would be work as in cash for, as a cash for the owner, and the capital for the company. Because you can understand, if Mr. A is introduced the 80,000 rupees into the XYZ company, either this company is of the Mr. A, but you can understand the company, for the company it is considered as a liability. Okay, because the company have to pay to the Mr. A wherever Mr. A demanded for that. Okay, so you can understand the same, you can understand as a cash, and cash for like Mr. A, and this would consider as a capital for the XYZ company. Okay, and when we have to make the entry, so you can understand the cash account as well as a capital account. Okay, so you when you just going to make the entry here, so you have to just debit the cash account, while you have to credit the capital account. Okay, so that would be your answer for this question. I hope this is understandable for everyone, right? So cash account would be debit here, and the credit capital account would be credit here. Okay, you can understand also here the very important thing when we talk about, like, for the company. Okay, because you are making the transaction, you are making the journal entry for the companies. Okay, for the company account, right? So when we talk about for the company perspective, you can understand is the like the cash is coming in. Okay, like when we talk about the cash, that is 80,000 rupees is actually introduced by the Mr. A. Okay, so Mr. A actually introduced the cash of the 80,000 rupees into the business. So now you can understand the very important thing, that when we talk about the cash, cash is actually the asset, and asset comes under the real account category. For the real account category, debit and credit concept says debit what comes in. That means this 80,000 rupees is coming into the business. That's why it is just going to be debited. That means cash account will be debited with the 80,000, and the capital account would be credited with the 80,000 rupees. That you have to understand. Okay. Next question. So next question, when we talk about authorized capital of the company is divided into 5 lakh shares and 10 rupees each, and it issues 2 lakh shares. Okay, and public applied for the 2 lakh 60,000 shares. So amount of the issued capital, that would be, you have to find out, right? So how we can calculate this, that how we can calculate the your issued capital. You have to understand, whenever we talk about the authorized capital, you can understand it is the maximum capital for that a company can issue the shares. Okay, so it is always understandable as a maximum capital for the company issues the shares. So suppose that it is the question, like authorized capital of the company that is given, it is divided into 5 lakh shares and 10 rupees each. Okay, that means per share price, that is a 10 rupees each that is given. That means companies authorized or the maximum capital, that is your 50 lakh rupees. Okay, fine, right? Now, when we talk about your it issues 2 lakh shares, so we have to find out the issued capital. Definitely your issued capital, that would be equals to your 2 lakh multiplied by the 10, and that would become your 20 lakh rupees. that would be your issued capital. Okay, so authorized capital or say nominal capital, that is always understandable as your maximum capital for the company can raise the fund by the public. Okay, and you can also understand when it issues a 2 lakh shares, that means this would considered as an issued capital. Okay, issued capital, that would be your 20 lakh. Next question, nominal share capital. Now again the same thing what we discussed here, what we understand by the nominal capital. Okay, so options are given here, that is that part of the authorized capital which is issued by the company, the amount of the capital which is actually applied by the prospective shareholders, the amount of the capital which is actually paid by the shareholders, the maximum amount of the share capital which a company is authorized to issue. What would be the answer here? Just tell me. The correct answer, that would be the last part, because whenever we talk about the nominal share capital, you can understand this is all about the authorized capital. Okay, so nominal share capital is all about the maximum capital for that a company is just authorized to issue the shares. Okay, so I think it is understandable for everyone. Next question, a firm purchased machinery worth of the 46,000 and spent 3,000 on the installation. Its expected useful life, that is given the 5 years, and the scrap value is given the 9,000. So what will be the amount of the annual depreciation? Okay, if there is no any method mentioned and you can just finding it, you can just solve this question by the straight line method. Okay, so you can understand the very important thing, whenever you are just going to solve the questions of the depreciation, you always have to consider the total cost of the asset. Okay, you always have to consider the total cost of the asset. So when we talk about the total cost of the asset, cost of the asset, installation cost, as well as the other cost that just incurred on that. Okay, so when we talk about a firm purchase machinery worth of the 46,000, you can understand the 46,000 just right here, and spend 3,000 on the installation. Okay, so that means 3,000 just add here, you will find here that it will be equal to the 49,000, right? Okay, its expected useful life, that is given the 5 years, and scrap value, that is given the 9,000. You can understand whenever we talking about the straight line method, the very important concept you have to understand in the straight line method, we actually talking about the constant depreciation value throughout the year. Look, we are talking about the term that is value. Okay, when we talk about the depreciation rate, you will find the depreciation rate would be same for the reducing balance method, straight line method, that would be the same. But when we talk about the depreciation value, you can understand this is the same for the straight line method only. Okay, because when we talk about the like written down method, your written down double declining balance method, in that you can understand the depreciation is applicable on the previous year end value. Okay, so that's why when we talk about the depreciated value, there will be the constant in the case of the straight line method. Okay, so now for finding the annual depreciation, you have to just write the total cost of the machine minus scrap value. Scrap value, that is given the 9,000 just right here, and it will be divided by the 5. So that would become your 8,000 rupees, and that would be your answer for this question. And this is how you have to solve the questions in the examination also, right? Next question, what is the nature of the balance in the overdraft account in the cash book of the firm and also the passbook? Okay, so how to solve, like what is the answer of this? There is a options are given: credit balance in the cash book and the credit balance in the passbook. Just understand very important thing here, very important. Look, what I told you, that I always told you that whenever we talking about the cash book, like on the debit side you record all the cash receipts, and on the credit side you record all the cash payments, while opposite of that, when we talk about the passbook, that on the debit side you record all the cash payments, and on the credit side you record all the cash receipts, and this cash payment is nothing but the liability of the customer or the liability of the firm that customer have to pay. Now if I have to just find out here, that is what is the nature of the balance in the overdraft account, and just trust me that you may get the questions of like this in the examination. This is a very important question to understand. Whenever we're talking about what is the nature of the balance in the overdraft account, you can understand here The overdraft is a kind of the liability that firm to pay. And when we talk about the liability of the firm to pay, that means this would consider as a credit balance in the cash book and debit balance in the passbook. And where you finding this term, that is credit balance in the cash book here. And no, not this one, not correct. A is not correct, and after that fourth is correct. Credit balance in the cash book and the debit balance in the passbook, that would be considered your correct answer. I think now it is understandable for everyone. Next question. The process of the grouping of the transaction or entries of the one nature. When we talk about the accounting phase, you have to understand the phases, that is recording, classifying, okay, and summarizing. These are the three important phases, and you can also add one more phase, that is interpreting is phases. Okay, so when we talk about these phases, you can understand, when we talk about the recording, that means record the transactions. When we talk about the classifying, that means we are talking about, we are just making the group of the similar type of the transactions. Okay, suppose that we are just making the particular head here, that means suppose that cash, we are just making the cash account, we are just making the purchase account, we are making the sales account. Okay, so that means now where like in the recording you just recorded the transactions only, in the classifying you actually just make the group of the similar items. Okay, so that means you are just making the one head of all the transactions that is related to particular account. Suppose that all the cash transactions into just going to record in the cash account, all the purchase type of the transaction that is going to record in the purchase account. Okay, so this is known as a classifying phase. And after that summarizing phase, as you all know that after that we just going to prepare the final account. Okay, and that is just helpful for the investors, right? So this is all about the summarizing whatever the data you recorded. Okay, so now what would be the answer of this? Just tell me here the correct answer. That would be the classifying phase. That is the correct answer for this question, right? Next question. In the trial balance of the company, a sum of 2,460 has been appearing as a interest accrued but not received. Okay, whenever you are talking about anything that accrued but it is not received, that means you are talking about as an asset. Okay, whenever you are talking about that anything you received, just try to understand this. Whenever you finding that anything that is received but not accrued, anything that is received but not accrued, that means you are talking about that anything that you actually receive but it is not accrued still, that means this is kind of the liability. And when we talk about that anything that is accrued but you not receive that, okay, so this is you can understand as an asset for the company. Okay, right? So the correct answer for this, that is balance sheet as an asset. That would be the correct. You can understand the example of this. Suppose that we are talking about like the perfect example of the fixed deposit. Okay, so when we talk about the fixed deposit, you can understand the interest of the fixed deposit actually accrued but you are not received that. Okay, so that's why this is understandable as like this interest is understandable as your asset for your like in the company. Okay, so that is a example of this. So the correct answer of this, that would be the balance sheet as a asset. That would be the correct answer. Okay, I hope everyone just understood this session. And so now I just want to say that just enroll for the bilingual as well as the English medium batches. Both are running and on the Adda 247 store. Okay, you will find that. So just grab this opportunity because few days left for your examination. So this is a very correct time when you should just get up your preparation with us. And the use the code that is Y422, and with this code you are going to get a big discount over these batches. Okay, another thing that if I talk about the test packs, because now this is a time when you should just attempt the mock test, and it actually just gives the idea like in which areas you still have to work on, is you still have to focus on, you still have to revise. Okay, so that means the test packs you are also going to get the discount of the 17%. What you have to do, you have to just apply the code Y422, and if it is not applicable then just apply the Y422 and just add after like after Y422 just add S. Okay, So after buy 422, just add S there and you will get the 17% discount like for the test packs also, right? So thank you everyone. If you're watching, like if you just like our session, then just hit the like button. And if you just appreciate our effort, just hit the like button and share this video to your friends, to your colleagues, so that maximum number of our bankers can understand and can just join these kind of the sessions. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining me here, and now we'll meet on the tomorrow at the same time. Okay.